Welcome to Pardon the Intermission, a podcast that takes a look at movies, TV, and all things entertainment from the past, the present, and the future. Remember to subscribe and like the podcast and give a review. This helps out the podcast and is greatly appreciated. Now on to the show.
Yes, hey everyone, welcome to Pardon the Intermission. I am Eric.
And I'm Jason.
We thank you all for joining us. As always, check out our social media. We are on X at PTI_podcast.
And we haven't left Meta. You can find us there at Pardon the Intermission.
And also YouTube and Rumble. We're starting to put fun stuff up there.
Yes, we are. We got some trailer reviews going up there and a lot of other fun stuff. So many ways to stay connected with Pardon the Intermission. And again, glad to have you with us this week, folks.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Yep.
Hey, we are we're going to do a movie review today. And I'm very jealous because I'm very jealous because I actually want to go see this, and I probably, now that we're going to talk about it, I probably will right after this, but you got to see it first.
Yes.
So you're going to do the review for us. And it is
Beetlejuice.
Yes.
The much anticipated sequel to Tim Burton's 1989 hit Beetlejuice. Yep. My family and I went and saw it yesterday in the theater as of the recording of this broadcast, which was Sunday, September 22nd. And I was looking forward to that one as well because Beetlejuice is one of my favorite Tim Burton movies. And when I first heard about this over a year ago, I was geeked about it. I was just like, okay, Beetlejuice, bring it back. And of course, that's one of Michael Keaton's most iconic roles that he's ever had. So hands down. And he's had a lot of great roles too. That's saying a lot. But looking forward to this film, and we had a good time with it.
Okay, before we get into it, so it's basically you got this is directed by Tim Burton.
Yes.
He's directing it again.
Yes, he is.
Did what's his face do the music for this?
Danny Elfman did come back to do the music.
He did the music, right?
Yeah. Now a lot of the original musical score.
That wasn't it, though.
No,
if you guys heard that.
That was not it. Sorry, that was my mother calling.
That was you gotta take mom's call.
Right,
I know. She's like, you're not talking about Beetlejuice, are you?
No, not at all. So, so little white lie, mom. Little white lies come back to haunt you. A lot of the original Danny Elfman score was back in this film, but it was back in play. But he went back and redubbed it, remixed it, and made it sound a little bit more. I don't want to say upbeat, but more techno-ish kind of.
For a modern audience.
For a modern audience, yes.
That's how they do it, right?
Yeah, but the familiar themes were still there, and it was good to hear his music back on the or his score back on the soundtrack to the film.
So we have Michael Keaton, obviously, is in it. Winona Ryder's in it.
Yes.
Catherine O'Hara's in it.
Correct.
We also have Monica Bellucci.
Monica Bellucci is in it.
Bellucci, is that how you say it? Is it Bellucci or Bellucci?
She's an Italian actress. Her name is Monica Bellucci.
Bellucci.
Yeah,
Bellucci.
if you recall,
I better get it right because
if you recall, she was the Merovingian's wife in The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix.
Yes. I know.
Revolutions.
You know, and the funny thing is, I don't even know if I don't really. When I saw Matrix...
Among other things.
Yes, so she's in a lot of things, but I guess that's kind of the first time, or I don't know why, for some reason when I saw it, I was like, who is that? I mean, she was obviously,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so...
Hard to take
I was like, who is that? Yeah, but
right.
I've probably seen her in other things before that. But anyway, Jenna Ortega, which she plays the daughter of... There might be spoilers, by the way, folks, if you're listening to this. The daughter of Winona Ryder, and then Willem Dafoe's in it, huh?
One of my favorite actors of all time.
Wow.
Willem Dafoe is in it, yes.
That is very... And Justin Theroux... Now, what does Justin Theroux play?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked this. So Justin Theroux plays the... I don't want to say on-again, off-again boyfriend of Winona Ryder's character. To kind of put their relationship in perspective, this is how it works out. So in this movie, Winona Ryder plays the host of a paranormal TV show.
Okay.
I believe, if I remember, the name of the show is called Ghost House. And Justin Theroux's character is the producer of the show.
Of course.
But he's also her love interest.
Yeah.
Now, in the movie, she is actually a widow. So Jenna, the father of her daughter, Jenna Ortega, passed away several years ago.
Okay.
And so that's why he's her love interest in this film.
And little spoiler here: does the father make an appearance?
The father does make an appearance, but not in the way that you think he would.
Okay.
Jenna Ortega ends up finding her father in the afterlife.
So does she have? So she's got daddy issues.
She has mommy and daddy issues.
Okay.
So in the movie, their relationship, Jenna and Winona's character's relationship, is fractured. She doesn't like her mother, doesn't want anything to do with her. And of course, her mother, hasn't completely ostracized her, but has pretty much made peace with the fact that her daughter just doesn't want anything to do with her anymore.
Okay, how's Winona's or how's her relationship with Catherine O'Hara's character, her stepmom?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that. So the movie basically, and this is where it gets complicated too, but I'll get into it later. So the movie basically opens up with Charles Dietz, Lydia's father, Jeffrey Jones, who played her father in the first film, who's now doing hard time in the Gray Bar Hotel for soliciting kiddie porn, by the way. I should add that. So the movie opens up.
That wasn't in the movie, was it?
No, it was not. No, thank God it wasn't.
Yeah.
So the movie opens up with his character having died while he was on a bird watching expedition.
Oh my gosh.
And there's actually a very funny animated clip after the beginning of the movie that shows him actually he gets killed in a plane crash, but he survives a plane crash. And he's adrift out there in the Pacific Ocean somewhere, and you see there's an animated scene that shows him in the airplane, the plane crashing. He survives, but then as he's afloat on one of the wings of the airplane, a shark comes up
and gets him
and rips off the whole top part of his body.
Oh my God! Only in true Tim Burton style.
When you see it, you'll laugh. So the movie opens up with his character dying, and so
is it actually him? I mean, do they digitally put a guy? I mean,
No.
Or they just kind of say this is him, but you don't really see him.
They made it. Well, no. So the character Charles Dietz, the animated part is animated. They just drew.
I see. So this is animated.
Character.
Oh, gotcha.
This is a scene in the movie that's purely animated.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so
that was a smart way to do it, I guess.
It was, yeah. And the animated part of Jeffrey Jones actually looks like Jeffrey Jones to some extent.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the movie opens up with his character dying. And so Catherine O'Hara comes back into the movie because she ends up texting Winona Ryder's character and said, "Did you know that your father died?" She goes, "What? No, I didn't know that." So Winona Ryder's character, Lydia, ends up going to New York, and she brings Catherine O'Hara back to the town, Westhurst or whatever. I forgot what it was called again.
Okay.
And so this is now where, so they bring her back, and the whole purpose there is to lay Charles to rest, and then to take care of any last minute affairs they have with the house and everything else like that. And so this is also where the relationship with her daughter, Jenna Ortega, starts to develop because she texts her daughter saying, who's at college now, at a girls' college, say that, your grandfather died. I know you don't like me, but I'm going to come get you so we can pay our last respects to him, everything else like that. And so that's how the movie starts out. Now, I will say this. What makes the movie complicated in a way is that there are so many different sub-storylines that are taking place at the same time. Okay, so, and this is where kind of Beetlejuice factors in because you have one relationship that deals with Winona Ryder and her daughter. You have another relationship that deals with Winona and Catherine O'Hara's character, her stepmom. Then you have a relationship that deals with Winona Ryder's character in Beetlejuice. And then another,
her and the ex-boyfriend,
and then her and Justin Theroux.
Okay.
So you have, and then there's another relationship, a fifth relationship plot in the movie where Jenna Ortega's character meets a teenage boy who, as it turns out, happens to be dead. So, and this is where you kind of have to keep up with the movie. So
in the house?
No. Okay. So what happens is that when she goes back, there's a couple of scenes there where she's, conversing with her mom and where they're going through, trying to figure out and reestablish their relationship.
Okay.
And there's one scene where she's just completely ticked off with her mother. And she's riding her bicycle, and it's kind of a frantic scene. And then she crashes through a fence. When she loses control of her bike, she crashes through a fence, and then she collides head-on into this big oak tree. As it turns out, there's this teenage boy who's in this treehouse up in the oak tree, And at first you think he's real, but in actuality, he turns out to be a former teenage killer who murdered his parents.
Oh my gosh.
And,
what the heck?
Yeah, and so this is where the handbook of the recently deceased comes into play, because we find out as the movie goes on that he's in the afterlife, but he wants to come back into human form and go back into real life. The only way he can do that is by trading lives with another person who's still living.
Okay, so he's trying to trick her.
He's basically tricking her. Yeah, he basically gets her to fall in love with him.
So he's kind of the bad guy in this thing.
He's one of the central antagonists in the film.
Because so I hear it's him. Well, him I didn't know about, but him and then Beetlejuice has his own problems too when he finally comes into
and so this is where Monica Bellucci comes into play, because Monica Bellucci turns out to be Beetlejuice's ex-wife.
Let me ask you this. Does she hold up pretty well in the afterlife?
Even with a stapled face and a stapled body, yes.
Really?
She still holds up pretty, yeah. So the scene that introduces her, it shows Danny DeVito, who makes a cameo in it.
Really?
Yeah, Danny DeVito plays a dead janitor in the afterlife.
This is great.
And he gets all crazy, and he bumps into this big stack of wood crates.
Yeah.
And when they fall over, you see all these body parts come out. And then you see Monica Bellucci's upper torso, and she kind of wakes up, and then she's like putting all of her body parts back together.
So she's putting herself together like what's her name from Nightmare Before Christmas, Sally.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Now her character turns out to be a soul sucker, and so she can go up to even a person in the afterlife and suck out their soul, and they can be dead.
Right, so there's no coming back.
Coming back from that. Right, correct. Okay. So Monica Bellucci spends a good chunk of the movie looking for Beetlejuice because she doesn't like the fact that he ditched her a long time ago.
Did he put her in those crates? Did we find out that he?
We don't really know if he put her in the crates.
We don't
know
how she got there.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So there's that plot.
That may be for Beetlejuice, part 3.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so there's that plot then where she's looking for Beetlejuice. And then now how Beetlejuice factors in with Lydia is that Lydia needs Beetlejuice's help to free her daughter from this so-called curse. Mm-hmm. That the boy I told you about cajoled Jenna Ortega's character into. So she obviously needs Beetlejuice to get down to the afterlife to free her daughter. But the only way she can do it is to marry Beetlejuice. So he gets her to sign kind of a fake.
Was he married to was it just a girlfriend, this Monica Bellucci character?
No, she was his wife.
That was his wife. So he's married. Yes. So is he like a polygamist in that? He's married.
You could say he's an afterlife polygamist. Yes, from Utah. From Utah. My God. Yes. So there's that plot.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So again, this is why the movie is a little bit complicated, because you're rolling through all of these different subplots that are connected to one primary plot, which, in case I haven't brought it out yet, the primary plot of the movie really focuses around
the mother-daughter.
It focuses around the mother-daughter relationship.
Okay,
is what it does. But again, you have all these other subplots with these relationships that kind of, in some ways, muddle out the main story or the main plot.
Yeah.
So basically, how the movie ends is Jenna Ortega's character. Obviously, she's fine. Everything is okay there. She does end up seeing her dead father in the afterlife. He turns out to be some kind of a ticket agent who is working at this afterlife train station that's supposed to take Jenna Ortega's character's soul to deeper into the afterlife. And
oh my gosh.
If it goes there, then she can't come back at all.
Okay.
And so he spots her, and then he frees her, or he doesn't free her, but he takes her back up to the real world.
Get back.
Helps her escape, essentially, is what he does. And so there's
kind of a plot device, really.
Yeah, it's a plot device. Yeah,
really, just to help her get
Yeah, and then Winona Ryder finds them, and then so there's a nice little poignant moment where they're all.
I miss you. I love you.
Exactly.
And you can move on from me. That kind of thing.
Exactly. See, you don't need to see the movie.
Wow.
You've already seen it right there. Yes. So again, the movie ultimately ends with everything being okay. Jenna Ortega's character's fine. Beetlejuice is fine, and actually, the way the movie ends is that there's kind of a dream sequence scene. And after it involves Lydia being with Beetlejuice. And then she wakes up and she goes, "Oh my God, that was a terrible dream I had," or something like that.
And she turns over.
And Beetlejuice looks up and says, "My God, I just had a terrible dream." So right there,
that was the end of the movie. It just stops?
that was the end of the movie right there. Yes.
Oh my god.
So right there, that portends a Beetlejuice movie, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a third one coming out.
Yeah.
But it leaves the door open to continue to explore the relationship between Lydia and Beetlejuice.
I will say this: at least Beetlejuice is at this point going for someone maybe a little bit older. I don't know if it's closer to his age, because I don't know how old Beetlejuice is. But in the first one, it was. You have to admit, at the time we didn't think about it. It was a little creepy that he was going for this super. She was supposed to be a young girl, right? A teenage, not really of age girl. That was a little weird. Right. Very interesting. Let me ask you some questions here. Now, I have heard some other people talk about the movie, and one of them was what you just mentioned, which was that there's too many plots going on in the movie.
Yes,
they liked the movie; it was fun, but they said there's just too much going on. It's crazy.
Yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention that Justin Theroux's character proposes to Winona Ryder's character, and he plans to marry her on Halloween. And then how Willem Dafoe's character fits in is that he plays an undead actor who portrayed a on-camera TV detective. And so he's kind of like a afterlife detective who's trying to not hunt down Beetlejuice, but track down Beetlejuice.
He's dead at this point.
He is, yes.
So he's dead, but he played a TV actor, but he's actually really trying to be a detective, TV detective. Yes. But he's really trying to be a detective. And
yes.
Okay.
So in actuality, then you have 6 plots.
Is he like comic relief or what?
Well, not really. No. I mean, there are some plucky moments there with him, but by and large, he's not the comic relief. So in actuality, you have then the 6 plots, the 5 that I told you about,
crazy.
And then the plot with Willem Dafoe trying to track down Beetlejuice. So there's 6 plots all crammed into one movie.
Okay. The other thing about this, they say that Beetlejuice doesn't really actually show up until later in the movie.
That's correct. In fact, he doesn't really have a lot of screen time in this film at all.
Which is shocking.
It is. I would posit that he probably has combined... This is just the best guess. Maybe an hour. Okay. Maybe an hour's worth of screen time.
What's the runtime of the movie?
An hour and 48 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, he's it feels like he's in the whole film because his scenes are spread out.
He just kind of pops in and pops out.
Just kind of pops in and pops out at certain points of the movie. Yeah.
Do we have a Calypso moment?
Yes, we do. No. Yes, at Charles Dietz's funeral. There is a
Daylight come and me wanna go home.
Exactly, yes, but it's sung by a children's choir.
Oh,
daylight come and me wanna go home. Yeah, they have
is there
like
any ghosts that
harmonizing.
do anything at that point?
There's no ghosts that do anything. But what makes one of the plots of the movie thicken a little bit is that Lydia Dietz actually, not Lydia, but Catherine O'Hara's character actually dies for a moment in the film because she ends up getting these 2 asps that she was told were non-venomous. They had their fangs plucked, and she got the snakes because she feels that they will help her converse with Charles Dietz in the afterlife.
All right.
And so there's a scene where she takes them out of the basket, and then all of a sudden they go and they bite her in the neck. And then she said, I was told they were non-venomous or something like that. And then she collapses. And then when the next scene, she wakes up and she's there in the waiting room of the land of the afterlife. Yeah, waiting to get seen by her rep.
Oh my gosh.
So
but she stays alive though. She comes back to life.
She eventually comes back, and then
how is she in the movie? Is she pretty good?
She's not as good as she was in the original film. Yeah,
because she still has the chops. I mean, if anybody's watched Schitt's Creek, I mean, she still has the comedy chops for sure. She plays Moira. That was
yeah. Oh yeah, Catherine O'Hara definitely does. Yeah, she can definitely pull that off. I would say in this movie,
she doesn't have a lot to do in this per se. Or...
Well, she does. She's in a fair amount of the film.
Okay.
As far as her character is concerned, I would say that she's a little bit more sardonic in this movie than she was in the first film. And it seems like some of her lines were kind of over the top. Like there's this one scene where they find Jenna Ortega at the girls' school, and the only way that they can get her attention is by Catherine O'Hara's character shouting out to her. Okay. And then Jenna Ortega's character, whose character's name is Astrid, by the way, Astrid opens up the window and Catherine O'Hara is there shouting, your grandfather just died. Your grandpapa just died. We came to get you whether you like your mother or not. You're going to come back with us.
Okay.
I thought that scene was kind of pushed a little over the top a little bit. But it seemed a little forced, maybe. But who am I to judge what kind of a performer Catherine O'Hara is?
Well,
look what she's done in her life, based on
that
mine.
would be on Tim, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
he directed it.
So, but I would say she's more of a dry character in this movie.
Okay.
Not a lot of comedy to her. More of a dry sense of sardonic to her.
Now the house was a big character in the first movie. So, and I know you're saying that they're trying to figure out what to do with the house, or they're going to sell it, or do whatever they're going to do with it. But I mean, obviously, what really made the house work was, the original couple that was in it, played by Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. I can't remember their names. Harry and Sally. What were their names?
Not Harry and Sally. No, it's the Maitlands.
The Maitlands.
Yeah, it's not Victor Maitland. Barbara Maitland is Gina Davis's character's name, and Adam Maitland.
Yeah,
yes.
Barbara and Adam.
Yeah, so now the way their characters are explained in this movie is that there's a scene where I think it's Catherine O'Hara or one of the other characters asks about the Maitlands, and then Winona Ryder says, they found a loophole to go through and they decided to move on. So that's kind of a lazy way of explaining what happened. Yeah,
because I understand, Alex got a few problems right now, but
just a bit.
But Gina's still around. They could have probably threw her in there somehow. You would have.
They could have, but I think she's really reclusive though.
Really, she like done with it.
Well, it seems like she is. I mean, she hasn't done a legit movie in quite some time. So I don't know if she's being reclusive for a reason or if the industry just kind of dropped her like a bad prom date.
Yeah.
But so I mean, their characters are mentioned, but only just for a fleeting moment.
It's kind of sad the way you're describing it, and I will watch it too. But it's kind of sad to. It seems like that the house though wasn't necessarily being wasn't the character it was in the first one, and it was kind of abandoned at that point.
Yeah, so the house is not the focal point of the story. Yeah. If anything, I would say the focal point of the story probably surfaces or centers around the house that Astrid's dead love interest is in, because the house that he is in is the one that he murdered his parents in. And so like there's this one scene where Lydia finds out about Astrid's boyfriend and who he really is. She runs down to the house to go rescue her. And right as she runs up into his house, you see a for sale sign that's kind of covered in brush and shrubbery and everything and foliage. So you can barely see the for sale sign. But then when she walks in, you see his dead father on the couch with like a miter saw, buried into his forehead. And then his mother comes out of the kitchen with like a steak knife shoved through her throat, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. And so right as she runs up the stairs to go get them, she sees Astrid and her boyfriend walk through the wall going into the afterlife, because they drew a chalk outline of the door, tapped on it 3 times, and then it opened up, and then boom, right as they walk through, she walks in and she can't save him then.
Okay.
And so that's why she needs to get Beetlejuice
to get
into the afterlife to go free Astrid.
Do we have any attention Kmart shoppers moment in this movie?
We don't have any attention Kmart shopper moments in this movie. I would say that his humor in this movie is not the way it was in the first film.
Okay, so it's not as over the top, and no,
it's not as over the top as it was in the first film.
So he's more of just and
it keeps getting better every time you say it.
He's more of a character. He's not. Yeah, because I don't know, how would you describe him in the first one? Just like a tornado of just
a tornado of comedic ability. Yeah. In this one, I would actually say Beetlejuice is more or less an ancillary character. Because again, because there are so many subplots that are all working simultaneously, trying to make up the grand plot of the movie, it's really hard to kind of determine if Beetlejuice was the focal point of the film, like the title suggests, or if he isn't. And that's where the movie gets complicated, because it's hard to discern, what is his role? I mean, we know what his role is in the movie based on the plot twist and everything, but is the movie supposed to center around him the way the first film did?
Yeah. Okay.
So and that's where it gets a little bit complicated, because in fact, even when we walked out of the theater, my wife said, it was really hard to determine what was going on in that movie centrally, because you had the Lydia and Astrid plot. You had the Lydia and Mrs. Dietz plot. You had the Lydia and Justin Theroux. You had Beetlejuice and Monica Bellucci. You had so many different things coalescing. It was just really hard to again discern.
To keep up.
Yeah.
couple more questions, and then we'll finish this out with just we kind of already touched on the too many plots, but what you maybe thought worked, what didn't work. What would you ultimately give it as a score? And but before we get to that, a couple more questions.
Yeah.
One. In the afterlife, did we... I hear Bob is a character in this movie, the shrunken head guy.
Bob is very much a character in this movie.
So he's a big part of this movie?
He's a big part of the movie.
Really? Okay.
Yes. In a rather humorous way, but yes, he's a big part of the movie.
Maybe just leave him as we'll leave him as a surprise.
He is one of the victims of Monica Bellucci's Soul Sucker.
Okay, great. All right.
So there you go. There's another spoiler there for you.
And two, in the afterlife, did you see was there the flattened mailman or
there was not the
football team or any reference to...
No, we didn't see any reference to those characters, but we did see a whole new bevy of different characters,
a new batch of characters
in the afterlife. Like, for example, there was a scene where there was a surfer who was missing his body below the waist with a surfboard that was bitten off. So you obviously assume that he was killed by a shark attack while surfing. There was an escape artist shoved into a tank full of water, and it was locked with padlocks and chains. There was another scene with a Santa Claus that was charred and burned as if he slipped down a chimney that was still on fire, and so he got burned to death.
Yeah.
So there was the burnt and crisp Santa. And then let me see, what was one of the other ones I saw? I can't remember some of the other ones right now, but those...
so there's a whole new cast of dead characters.
There's a whole new cast of dead characters, yeah.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so here we go. So what worked for you? What didn't work for you? What would you ultimately give it? If I take my daughter, she's 9. Is this for kids? Can kids kind of watch this, or is it going to be too much? Now, the first one, she has seen the first one. I'll throw that out there. So anyway, go ahead. So what worked? What didn't? What do you give it? And is it for kids?
Okay, so what worked for me is this: the imagery and the style and the homages from the original Beetlejuice are what worked for me.
Okay.
So a lot of the colors, a lot of the cinematography,
the black and white worms,
the set design, very reminiscent of the first Beetlejuice film, and that was one of the things that attracted me to it. So that's what I liked about it the most. What also worked for me as well was I really liked seeing, among all the plot twists, I really liked seeing the moments between Catherine O'Hara and Winona Ryder's character. Because if you recall, in the first movie, she didn't really like Lydia, or she didn't really like Catherine O'Hara's character that much, kind of despised her a little bit.
What was the mom's name?
It was...
what can I say? Is it Delilah?
No, Delia. That's right, Delia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this film,
sorry to interrupt you, but it just dawned on me right now. No Otho either, right?
Well, no, there's no Otho because the actor actually passed away a few years ago.
No, did he really? I didn't realize
his
that.
His name is Glenn Shadix, and he passed away, I think, from a degenerative heart disease a few years ago, if I'm not too much mistaken.
They couldn't have worked
right?
A character like him in there somehow, like maybe his son, or you know what I mean, just some kind of somehow offshoot of Otho.
I know.
Spirit of Otho.
It would have been nice if they could have.
Okay, so go ahead. So anyway, Catherine O'Hara, you were talking.
So I was just saying how nice it was to see the relationship develop between Delia and Lydia, because they definitely become a lot closer in this film.
Okay.
Something else that worked for me as well were some of the Easter eggs and little homages to the first film. Like, for example, you remember that big stone sculpture that Delia made that she had in front of the house?
Yeah.
That stone sculpture is on display in front of the school that Astrid attends.
Oh, okay.
Because it turns into a school for the arts or something like that, which is where she goes. And so that big stone sculpture is there. Let me see some of the other homages to the original film. We mentioned the Harry Belafonte Daylight or Misa Deo song, sung by the children's choir. That was there. A couple of other homages. Let's see. The sandworm makes a reappearance.
Yeah.
Sandworm comes back, so the sandworm is in there. So I like those. As far as what didn't work for me, again, just all of the different subplots in the movie. It muddled the film at certain times, and again, there were times where it was difficult to try and determine, okay, well, what's really going on here?
Yeah.
Whose plot is more important? Is it Lydia and Justin Theroux's plot? Is it Lydia and Astrid? Is it Lydia and Delia? Is it Lydia and Beetlejuice? So ultimately, I was trying to figure out, in the long run, while the film was plausible, which plot was supposed to be, again, the center plot.
And I wonder why they did it like that. Why did they have the need, feel the need to have so many I mean, it could have made it so simple.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question.
Make the daughter, what was her name? Astrid. Make
Astrid,
the whole, mom's got to go save her. And then repairs their relationship, and she sees dad. That's plenty right there, and she needs Beetlejuice to get there. That's all they need.
Right, exactly.
And they could have the ex whatever soul sucker, after Beetlejuice as a funny thing, right? Like he's always being pursued, so he's trying to help, but hey, I got to move on,
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like that kind of thing,
Yep.
But yeah, I just don't see why they had to make it so complicated the way you're describing it. So that's too bad. Anything else that didn't work besides the plot stuff, or?
Let's see. What else didn't work?
Runtime seems about right.
The runtime's about right. Yeah, it's not too
Did you
long.
ever feel it dragging though, or did it go by pretty quick?
There were a couple of points in the movie in the middle of the film where it started to drag a little bit.
Okay.
And that, I think, is primarily due to all of the different plots that were...
Stories dragging
all
it
the
down.
different stories dragging it down a little
Yeah.
bit. But overall, I thought it flowed fairly well. One of the other things that I did not like about the movie was towards the end of the film, after Delia gets bitten by the asp and dies, she sees Charles Dietz's character from the waist down. And,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and you hear a voice say, "Delia, it's me, Charles," and stuff like that. So that, I thought, that was kind of kooky. I mean, I understand it would have been hard for them to bring him back since he's eating 3 square meals a day in the Gray Bar Hotel right now, and I'm sure they probably wouldn't be able to get his permission to CGI his character or his face onto another actor. But still, I thought that was kind of kooky.
So hence the whole cartoon in the beginning where he gets bitten.
Right,
half. Okay,
exactly.
So
yeah,
that kind of okay.
Now, as far as whether it's appropriate enough for your daughter and other kids to see it, there were some kids in the theater with us that liked it and laughed at it. It's not extremely vulgar. It's not extremely violent. There is one scene where you do see some blood gushing here and there, but it's not like, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees style blood.
So it's
gore.
probably done in comedic style. Or
It is, yeah. So basically, this isn't a movie that's going to give your kids nightmares.
Okay,
It's one that they can laugh at, and one that won't really give them, again, shivers in the middle of the night.
Well, out of 1 out of 10 PTI thumbs up, was that what we say? Thumbs up.
I believe so.
What would you give it? What would you rate it?
I'm going to rate it a 7.
A 7. Okay.
I will
not
rate
bad.
it a 7. Even with the muddled plots, it's still a fun film. It could be better, but it could definitely be worse, and it's not worse.
All right.
I would definitely rate it a 7. It's worth going. It's worth seeing in the theater, especially with like I said, with the cinematography and the production design and everything else. It's definitely worth seeing in the theater.
And it sounds like on the anti-woke meter, it sounds like it's right there pretty low, right? There's no woke.
I didn't detect any wokeness at all.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All
yeah.
right.
So it's there.
All right, good. All right, well, that I'm still gonna go see it. So
definitely.
Even though the plot stuff, at least I'm ahead of the game because I know it's coming, so I can just kind of say, okay, I know this plot, that plot, and just enjoy. Because that's what it is. With Beetlejuice, that was it was so out there. We'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
It was a fun movie. And the plot was simple. It was really kind of simple. It didn't bog you down too much. So it sounds like this needed a little more of that. But yeah, I'm still gonna go watch it. That's gonna do it for us. Hey, thank you guys for sticking around with us.
Yep.
And we do appreciate you guys always listening. And if you can on the show, like it, review it. Go to our social media, send us some ideas. Hey, if you guys want us to talk about something, review something.
Yeah, tell your friends about it. Tell your neighbors. Tell your ghoulie friends about it. Anyone you want to tell about it.
Your afterlife friends about it.
Friends. Yes, exactly.
Just don't tell them to come and haunt us.
Exactly. Yes.
All right, guys. Hey, take care. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace out. God bless.